es una atroz colección de testimonios acreditativos de que vivió y de que ya la he perdido. Esta es nuestra historia, de Tessa y mía. Estamos enganchados el uno al otro con tanto placer como dolor.
Me has hecho daño y no puedo perdonarte.
Tessa, quiero otra oportunidad.
First of all, as the author of After, what is your opinion about this second movie of the saga, and what do you think the fans are going to enjoy more?
I think the fans are going to enjoy more drama. It's a lot steamier. There's a lot more character development. We see a lot more intimate moments between Hardin and Tessa, which is what they really want. For me, being on set for both, the second one was definitely more fun for me. And it was definitely, I got to actually work on the movie instead of just kind of sitting there. It was a pretty good experience, but a lot different than the first one.
On social media, I see a lot of fans completely in love with After. What do you think is the most special thing about this saga to engage so many people around the world?
I would love to know, but I think it's, from when I ask them what it is, it's the up and down, the emotional ties to these characters that you are in their head for so many pages that it's impossible not to feel for them. I've also known that a lot of, especially younger women, relate a lot to the characters. Even if it's not just Tessa, they find themselves in a character each time. Like, even if it's Molly's anger or Steph's jealousy or Hardin's past with his father, there's always something that they feel a connection to. But I don't know the secret ingredient. I wish I did, but that's what they tell me.
In the moment you started to write After as a fanfiction on Wattpad, did you think that your story could reach the relevance that has nowadays?
Definitely not. I had no idea. I just was writing from a place of passion and fun and to kind of escape my day-to-day life. So it wasn't anything that I intended anyone really to read, especially not millions of people. And then when it got published, I still just had no idea how successful it would be after being published. So, and I never saw any of this coming.
Some people define After as a teenager version of 50 Shades of Grey, and I want to know if you agree with this affirmation.
I mean, yes and no. I think it's just a very generalized statement to make. Just because it's about two people that have sex scenes, it automatically has to be like 50 Shades, I think, is a little like insulting to her and me. But I do think, for me, I love 50 Shades of Grey, and I was inspired by 50 Shades of Grey, and I love what it's done for millions of women. So in one way, I'm like, thank you. But in another, the plot lines are very different. The characters are different. So I wish that people would stop comparing everything to something else that women create. It's like, there's other books that have sex scenes and drama aside from 50 Shades.
Right now, when you think about the whole story of After, are there things or parts of the books that you would like to change?
I wouldn't say change, just because I know for whatever reason the original worked so well, so I wouldn't really change. But there are things that Hardin specifically was too much. Like, I don't know if you've read the books, but there's like a thing with sheets, and he's just very, there are things that now 7 years later I'm like appalled by his behavior. And Tessa too. There's a couple of times where I wish Tessa would have been a little more mature, but again, that's kind of part of their character. So I don't know if I would necessarily change it, but I have a different opinion on it now, 7 years later.
Do you think that fanfiction should be taken more into account into the literature?
Absolutely. I've read so many fan fictions that are incredible, and the reality that nobody wants to admit, even though everyone wants to say negative things about fan fiction, the reality is publishing is a very, very old model, and we have to bring new voices into the publishing world. We can't just keep publishing the same authors over and over. We need more representation, we need more diversity, we need more everything, and we need new voices. So for me, I'm trying to say it in a nice way, but the people who have had a problem with fan fiction are usually people who have tried to publish and it wasn't successful, and they're like, want to find a reason not to like something. But for me, I'm like, mind your own business, write a fan fiction, like don't write fan fiction. Like I very much love fan fiction, stand by it. Clearly millions and millions of people love it. So I don't think it's for some guy in a suit in an office to decide what is literature and what's not.
Also about fanfictions and also about After, because it started as fanfiction about Harry Styles. Do you think that sometimes it could be problematic, write about the stories about real people?
I go back and forth on this. I'm not really sure how I feel about it because I understand why it could be kind of uncomfortable, and but for me, I wasn't writing it out of, or in most of the people I know who write fan fiction, it's a lot of people I know, none of us are thinking of it as the actual person. It's more of just, this is what the character looks like. This is the world that we love and we want to expand on. Like with After specifically, you could take out the Harry factor and I have a lot of fans that don't even realize or care that it was ever about Harry Styles. So I think it depends what your intention is. If I was to write a story that was exactly like Harry Styles' life, or anyone, not just Harry Styles, but anyone's life, I think that there could be cross lines. But for me, I just wrote a story out of like pure passion for loving books, and I loved One Direction at the time, and I didn't write it thinking like, oh, this is Harry Styles' life. So for me, I don't know. I think it could go both ways. Everybody has their own opinion.
And my last question, are there many changes in the movie compared to the book in this second movie?
There are some changes from the book just because it's so long and we can't fit everything in. And we tried though, so I think it's still definitely more faithful. There are a couple things that I didn't necessarily agree with, but a movie is a collaboration and the director overall is the decision maker. So there are, like, the ice skating scene for me is a scene that I really wish was different, but that's just an example of collaboration, and that, you know, in the novel world, you can be in control of everything the characters do, but on a movie set, you really have to take everything else into account and worry about making the best film, not only bringing exactly what's on the page to the screen.
Lo tuyo con Harding no va a acabar bien. Sea cual fuere la sustancia de que están hechas las almas.
La suya y la mía son idénticas.
Para mí solo existes tú, Tessa. Solo tú.